Hey Mike, this is Dave. Saw your replies and I wanted to respond to them and reply to them, but you're throwing a lot of stuff out there to begin with, and I started typing a reply, and then it gets to the point where I'm going to start writing a book, and I don't have the time or patience for that, so I'm just going to reply via video. Anyway, you mentioned something about corporate king COVID and people in their jobs and their benefits and their vacation and all that, and you're right. I agree with you on all that stuff. What you're getting into is the issues of fear behind the pandemic. Um, Fear is a root emotion that all humans feel. It's an emotion we feel in response to a perceived threat. Everybody has it, and there are two responses to that emotion or to that feeling. One is anger, which is another human emotion, and the other is to cut and run. Um, in which case you're going to run until you get to a point where you're going to reevaluate the threat. Is it still a threat? Well, are we going to fight? Are we going to cut and run? Okay, and you'll keep going through that cycle until either the perceived threat is no longer a threat anymore, or you've been backed against a wall and you decide to fight. Um, in which case, the root emotion is anger. Most people are getting to the point now in current day where they're starting to fight because they're sick of living in that constant state of fear, even though they might not even realize that's what they're actually going through. Again, it's a fear is a very powerful emotion. It's an emotion of self preservation, but it also can be used as a very powerful weapon against us. To control our actions and our emotion and further emotions and things of that nature. Anyway, um, you'd also mentioned something about COVID and the person that came up with COVID was came to power and was in office during the Trump administration. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you there. First of all, COVID is simply a coronavirus, and coronaviruses have been around forever. It's nothing new to this planet. They were first discovered in 1960s, I think 1965 to be exact. Um, and there are hundreds of them, if not millions of them. Now we're immune to most of them based on the fact that we've been around here. We have natural immunity through our genes and previous family trees and previous generations who were affected by those viruses recovered from them and therefore were immune. And of course, through time, that immunity keeps going to the later generations. Um, some of the more common coronaviruses that you all might know about is like things like the common cold, the flu, things of that nature. Now, COVID-19, I believe was created in a lab. I believe Dr. Frauci, and I do say Frauci because he's a fraud, a blatant fraud. Yeah, he's the quote expert. Yeah, I take issue with that. Anyway, if you're talking about him as the inventor, well, he's been around the NIH since back in the 80s, back in the days of AIDS. Now I don't know when I got it. I may have looked it up and have it somewhere written when he became the head of virology for NIH. I don't believe that was under the Trump administration, though. I think that was back in the Obama administration, and that's mainly because um, uh, what's it? Gain of function research that he's doing um, he's been doing for or wanting to do and it has been doing since back in the Obama administration. If you look back at warfare over the years, I mean, we won our independence mainly fighting with guns and cannons. As warfare progressed and revolutionized, you got World War I and II, where it was fought with tanks and planes, as well as guns and cannons and things of that nature. We're to the point now, you get into the 80s and it's threat of nuclear destruction. We're to the point now where I think, you know, uh, biochemical warfare is a reality or could be a reality. even though it's banned by the I think the treaties and things that have been signed over the years. Um, and little known fact, when Fauci went to Obama and said, "Hey, we needed to start doing this research here," Obama was like, "No, we can't. We can't do it here. It's illegal." Now that doesn't mean they didn't start doing it. Just because you don't know something's happening doesn't mean it isn't happening. And this is where the conspiracies and all that stuff come into. And I don't want to get into all that. People have their opinions and I have mine. I've done extensive research on all this stuff since COVID first came out last year, and I've found out a whole bunch of stuff. Started trying to write a book about it, and it's just so much. And the current news cycles now, with Biden being in office and all the shit that's just going on, because it's all interrelated. People don't want to realize or admit this. It's all interrelated and intertwined. The swamp is basically trying to take over so that they can have permanent control over the United States in an attempt of a global takeover of the entire world by the, as Mike would put it, corporate King COVID corporations, global corporations. It's the, call it the New World Order, whatever you want to call it. I think that's what's actually a lot of what's going on now, whether people want to realize that or not. I also think that people in this country are actually waking up. And that's why I put the post up there to begin with. Some really bad shit is getting ready to happen. And I thought something or things would already start happening. Gordon had mentioned something about the revolution will not be televised. Actually, you're seeing pieces and portions of it televised every day. Again, it's not going to be in the forms that you think. It's not going to be, armies going to battle on the battlefield type of thing. It's little battles here and there. Also with government, the government agencies and the legislative bodies creating laws, whether they be constitutional or not, passing laws that then they pass on to you that you believe you have to follow. And a lot of these laws and the things that they're doing, the dictates and mandates and whatever the case may be, none of this stuff is constitutional. They don't have the power to do all this stuff. But, hey, your rights are only good if you actually exercise them. If you voluntarily give them away, well, that's on you. I think people have gotten to the point now these days where they're no longer willing to voluntarily give their rights away anymore, and they're starting to fight, which is a good thing. I've been trying to tell people all this since last year, and I feel like I've been beating my head up against a wall. But that's beginning to change. So welcome to the battle, welcome to the war. In any case, in terms of Trump being part of the corporate globalists and all that, yeah, no, I'm going to actually disagree with you on that as well. I actually happen to believe, going back to the 2016 election, that election was rigged for Hillary to win, and she probably would have run it had Trump not entered the race. And you have to bear in mind here, Trump isn't a politician. Okay, so he's not going to be all. He shoots straight from the hip, and some people aren't used to that. I actually found it kind of refreshing and funny. You know what I'm saying? In a way. Now people took it along the wrong way, and of course the media. The minute he got elected, the media attacked him, and the establishment government attacked him on every front because he's not part of the club. He's rich. He can't be bought off like everybody else. And he's got some policies that he wants to implement that go directly in contrast to what these people are trying to do or would have already done had he not been in office. So I don't believe that he is part of that. Also, additionally, and this is a little fact that people might not be aware of, Trump is the only person to ever hold office that left office with lower of a net worth than when he went in. In other words, he went into office and left office with less money than he had going in. If somebody out there can name me another politician or somebody who's served in office, I'd be dying to hear it because I've been racking my brain and I can't think of a single one. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know it all either. So even though I've some of the research I've done with this, I know quite a bit. Anyway, that's my response to you. Feel free to reply back. You know, hey, I'm always open to opinions and things of that nature and discussions. I don't know it all, neither does anybody else. But nobody's right if everybody's wrong. I'm simply on a crusade for the truth and have been ever since Corona first came out, and you know, I started questioning it and pretty much got attacked from every avenue possible. And I got stories I could tell that I'll get into once I eventually, hopefully, get this video up and going. Gordon, if you happen to see this, I've been trying to get in contact with you in regards to that, and if you could, you know, shoot me a message or something. You do video stuff, and I'm just starting out doing this stuff, so I'm new at it. Anyway, thanks, peace, love, soul, rock and roll.